Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and I'm here with my LEGO MOC of Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. This MOC is a vignette in a 16 by 16 dimension, roughly. It does stretch out a little bit on the side, but I don't really count those for just the main structure fits on the 16 by 16 base plate. It was created for Brick Fair, Virginia 2016, the weekend right before it, because that weekend was Halloween, so I thought I'd have a little bit more of a horror MOC to fit in here, but also a creative one at that. I decided to work on this MOC after two building techniques that are probably the best parts of the MOC itself. The checkerboard pattern is something made out of Erling bricks, or 1x1 bricks with one stud on the side as well, and it also has an indent in there. So it allows these to interlock with each other pretty well and give it a checkerboard pattern. You may have to blur your eyes a little bit to it because it's not perfect, but it's just enough where you get the picture. I was actually trying to toss this idea around for a couple of MOCs, but then when I came upon this cocoon head, or cocoon piece, or arrangement of pieces, I decided to make it as the head for Audrey 2 and build the rest, and there we are. So, how did that actually come apart? Well, this is actually made out of three flexible pieces that are connected in the back in a triangular shaped piece. The whole assembly for that came from Invasion from Below sets from Hero Factory, roughly around 2013, 2014, if I remember correctly. And that is actually held in place in a special way. We'll get to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff a little later in the video, but I just wanted to give you a good look around at some of the detail on the sides. And I did try to build up not only the plate itself, but also the wall around it, so it gives it a little bit more of a background to work with. I did run out of tan bricks, so I decided to go with building upward along this area. And it kind of worked a little bit because then it gave some room for these flower pots to sit in place. I don't have all the details in here from the original scene from the Little Shop of Horrors, because there should be a sign, a little bit more space for the plant, and a couple other details. But it gets the point across, as a vignette usually does. So, there's also this little table, which I believe is actually supposed to be further back on the set, but it still works with what we got here. The tentacles on either side are made from Hero Factory Bionicle pieces, but they're actually sitting kind of loosely in place, so we'll get to that in a little bit. The minifigure here is actually incorrect. I used the head from Egon from Ghostbusters, and I should be using another Ghostbusters character because the same actor from the original Ghostbusters was also the main character in Little Shop of Horrors. The problem is I don't have that character as a minifigure. I don't have the Ghostbusters HQ that the set comes from, so I just stuck with this for now, and it still looks pretty good. If I come across that figure in the future, I would be happy to add that into the scene instead. I did really like the computer programmer torso, and seemed to be the closest representation for the character here, so I decided to add that in. The plants on the window were just enough to give some extra detail for the nursery. And now, let's get on to some of the behind the scenes on how this thing is built. The first thing I'd like to mention is that the back is very not camera shy. It's pretty bad back here because you have a whole bunch of empty space, you have a whole bunch of this overhanging, you have these window pieces that just kind of serve as structure and not necessarily function the way that these window pieces do. I would like to switch these out and get a whole bunch of other brick to put in there, probably would hold it together better. I would actually like to redesign a whole bunch of things about this MOC, especially with some of the tan pieces that I mentioned earlier, and maybe a few, like, cosmetic things, but I think for the most part, if I were to change anything immediately, it would be the structure back here. I don't really mind this being so open here, because it's not going to be seen by the general public. It's usually going to be facing in the angle you first saw in the video, like this. And it actually doesn't mind me too much about the overhang back here, because for those taking pictures, it kind of brings the rest of this together, you know, as far as the ceiling for the MOC. I think that works okay. It could be better, I'm not gonna lie. You also have some of the area down here where the whole thing is raised to fit along with the checkerboard floor. And you have a whole bunch of these tan pieces in here kind of wedged in. Again, I ran out of tan. And so now there's actually a few secrets about the building techniques in front. The bench on the side has been shaking a little bit through the video because it's actually not attached to anything. It actually comes apart very easily and does tend to fall over. The tentacle over here for the plant is actually held in place the same way you see it over here. This one in particular is by this large tentacle. So this is usually popped out when I go on the road and transport this in a small cardboard box so that it fits just enough. Also, some of the ends for the vignette on these sides are covered as well. And now the big show, the head itself. The cocoon assembly that I was talking about before appears just like this in some of the Hero Factory sets. So you can actually fit a minifigure inside of here if you wanted to. Albeit a little bit hollow, but still gets the point across. And I have actually seen only one other person at Brick Fair in 2016, ironically, use the same technique for an Audrey 2. So it was by pure coincidence that somebody else used the same technique for the same purpose at the same convention. I don't know who came up with it first, but I'm happy that it was done, and it still looks pretty good. Now you can see back here there's a couple of pins that hold the head in place. It has just enough angle so that it can be facing out in this direction as opposed to the way the walls are facing. So it does take a little bit of effort to actually fit this back in there when it is popped off like this, but when it stays, it stays. The area underneath it is just there to support the head, not necessarily connecting it, physically. So let me see if I could fit this back in here. Shouldn't be too bad. But with most of the structure built, it kind of does get in the way and sometimes knocks over this bookshelf on the back. But that's a rather easy fix. And there we are. So back together, and now you know some of the secrets of Audrey 2. Except for the fact that that tentacle fell over, but I'm going to worry about that afterwards. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this LEGO MOC. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it, some of the building techniques used, and if you have seen this at conventions before or after this video. You can also check out more LEGO MOCs on my channel. There should be a playlist for those, and hope you guys stick around for more LEGO videos.